This now, Basic Education Minister Sivyo Kwakube says hundreds of pupils have not been able to write their exams today due to the bad weather. Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape has been most affected. For an overview of the national picture, I'm now joined by Basic Education spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga. A very good afternoon to you, Elijah. Thanks very much for your time. Let's perhaps begin with those children in Nelson Mandela Bay who have not been able to write their exams today. What's going to happen there?
Good afternoon, Vuyo. Thank you very much. We have since updated those figures upon verification with the province and the consultation with the district officials. The actual number is 319 candidates in grade 12 who were not able to write their exam today because of the adverse weather conditions in that part of the country. But if you were to look at our timetable, you will see that on the 28th of November, we already had the very same subjects that were written today for a rewrite. So they are going to utilize that particular day for the rewrite. And it's going to be a backup paper that we've always made available for these subjects. So these subjects written today were not high enrollment subjects that are written across the country. It's a few schools in some parts of the provinces that take those subjects. That's why it has not become a major issue, in that we already made all the arrangements beforehand.
Okay, at least they won't be disadvantaged. But overall, how have things gone since yesterday when the first paper was written?
Things went well. We were seeing that yesterday was the biggest day in terms of it being day one, but also the fact that we have all our candidates coming out to sit for the first exam, which was English paper 3. We had some incidents in the Northern Cape. The taxi association there, they organized some kind of protest, which almost threatened the exam. There was a slight delay, but there was no compromise to the examination itself. The learners were able to get to the centers and were able to write. In KZN, we were afraid that the rain was going to cause the same type of havoc that we are seeing in the Eastern Cape. But in the meeting that we had yesterday with the province, it was clear that all districts in the province were able to assist their children, their learners, to write the English paper 3 yesterday. In other parts of the country, there wasn't any major incidents except for some candidates that fell ill, and we made arrangements immediately for them to write in hospital. I think those were about 6 candidates. Apart from that, there wasn't anything else major to threaten the system.
And what about this? I mean, I was having an interview late last week with one of the, someone representing one of the teacher unions, and they were talking about the high number of schools that have been, where there's been that are under a watch list because of incidents of copying in the past. What have you put in place this time around to ensure that there is no such?
Well, we have increased our monitors in those schools or those centers that are hosting exam. So it's 2 things. One, it's either that school is new in terms of it hosting grade 12 exams for the first time, or it would have had incidents of group copying or some other form of worrying cheating, which would have taken place there for us to take this type of step to add monitors to check the exam there. It's something that we don't want to see. We need actually to see a reduction in the number of schools that are categorized rather as high risk. So we are increasing the number of people that will be doing monitoring there to ensure that whatever would have happened in the past doesn't occur again.
Have you been able to put a finger on the problem? In other words, What actually, is it greed on the part of teachers or people who have access to these exam papers? Is it pressure on the part of managers, your principals and their deputies and HODs, that they need to have high pass marks? Have you been able to put a finger on it? In other words, what causes or what is largely responsible for this problem?
Yeah, it's mainly your third point. It's the pressure. When a teacher opens the question paper and they realize that that which is in the question paper is something they didn't teach because they were not doing a good job during the year, they panic, and the first instinct is to assist their learners. And then they start writing answers on the board for everyone to copy from there. That is the worst form of cheating, because you have an individual who's supposed to be a guardian, who's supposed to be a monitor, someone who's supposed to ensure that the system is clean, leading the misdemeanor there. So that's the problem. That's why we encourage provinces and monitor them in terms of the action that is taken against those individuals. You'll remember when it happened somewhere in Mpumalanga, that the teacher was dismissed for having assisted learners during an exam. So we don't tolerate that. We have a zero tolerance approach to that type of behavior, especially from the adults that are supposed to be leading by example. So we also have situations where the candidates themselves, they get together and start exchanging papers inside the exam room. We've had such incidents before, but that happens because the invigilator is not vigilant, is not doing their job in a manner that could prevent that. So those are some of the things that happen. But at the end of the day, it boils down to the discipline in the school. What culture does that school have for it to allow those types of incidents to take place? So we need to deal with the mindset change as well to help people to hold people to account.
You mentioned a problem of taxis earlier. Another problem that in the past has, of course, affected some of the children who would be sitting for exams have been community protests. Any of that happening at the moment?
Yes, I think there was one or two yesterday, but in Limpopo, but that was brought under control. The police did a good job there. They were able to avert a problem. The learners were able to access the exam centers and were able to write the exam without any further disruption. So, you have members of the community in some parts of the country who know that the exam is a very sensitive matter that we are handling as a department, as a government. And then they want to take advantage of this time to also voice their anger over whatever issues that they might have, knowing that they'll be able to attract the attention of the authorities. But at the end of the day, they are putting the lives of their own children in jeopardy, because you are disrupting the future of your own child if you are preventing them from going to school, particularly at such a crucial time in the year.
So 2 days into the exams, so far, so good.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're going to leave it for today. Elijah Mhlanga, who is, of course, the spokesperson of the National Department of Basic Education.